What was your "forget it, I'm done helping others" moment? I had a friend a few years ago who was a bit self-centered and prone to stretching the truth, but he was a nice enough guy with a rough backstory, and my friend group liked him, so I cut him a lot of slack. I like to host, and I have friends staying over pretty regularly. Back then, I usually had 1 or 2 people spending the night on any given day. Anyhow, over the span of a couple of years, this guy starts abusing that. Staying over for days or even weeks at a time, eating my food and drinking my liquor without contributing, that sort of thing, while constantly talking about his grand plans and daydreams as if they'd already happened. A little sad, but also pretty annoying after a while. Anyhow, I sit him down one day and let him know that he's gotta head home, and that he's free to come over and hang out, but I'm not comfortable with him staying over for the time being. He leaves, I think it went remarkably well, and head out to work. And it turns out that he broke in while I was away at work and stole a bunch of my sister's things, because his birthday was coming up and neither of us even thought to get him a gift. It takes a special person to rationalize how burglarizing someone is really their fault. Anyway, all slack with sympathy went out the window immediately. I called the cops and he's dead to me. Yeah, it goes without saying that some friendships are not really worth keeping around. When a good friend of mine that I worked under had cancer and wasn't able to pay some bills, I loaned her $200 just to help. I was only 18 at the time and felt bad because she had kids. It was right around the holidays, and I just wanted to help however I could and be a good person in life. She promised to pay me back when she could. Turns out she lied about having cancer and was stealing from the company I worked at, scammed my other coworkers, and would come in after calling out for work for her chemo to make fraudulent returns while I was overseeing the store by myself because of her calling out. I got her fired and got promoted to her position after. Yeah, anyone who tries to fake having cancer or something like that pretty much voids any sympathy they will ever get for the rest of their life after that. I had a newish neighbor ask if he could borrow our lawnmower. Sure. Well, more or less every week he would come in and get it out of our garage, use it to cut his grass, put it away without cleaning it or adding gas. In the fall we mentioned it was a good time to get deals on a new mower. He never talked to us again. Oh, well, maybe he got his own mower and everything was fine after that. I'm a teacher. A parent of a former student contacted me in an emergency situation. Couldn't afford to pay bills and needed help. She was super helpful to me in my first year teaching, so I asked friends and family to help out and raised her about $2,000. Never again. She has contacted me every few weeks since then, always with a new reason why she needs more money, and when I offer food and clothing resources, she refuses it. It has placed me in such an awkward situation, and I regret ever trying to help her out in the first place. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why it's a bad idea to just give a ton of money to somebody. More so than just you don't want to give up the money, but it can also just damage any sort of relationship that you had in multiple ways. When I had a truck during college, everyone suddenly wanted me to help move them. Most were cool and gave me money or ordered pizza. One time, however, some dude I barely knew needed some help. I show up and nothing is packed in his apartment. He had a giant fish tank and lived on the 3rd floor with no elevator. It was a freaking nightmare, and I never got a dime, nor food, or even some beers. I never talked to him after that. So you know how when everyone talks about the lottery, they're like, if you win the lottery, don't tell anyone, just keep it a secret, because once everybody knows, everyone's going to be asking for a piece of it. Maybe that's how you should be when you have a truck. If you get a truck, just keep it hidden away, park it like a mile from your house, and never let anyone see you driving it, because they're all going to want to use it. After working free of charge as a freelance graphics guy to build my portfolio up, and having a client basically make the most minor adjustments and constant revisions, 4 posters which should have taken me days tops really, ended up taking 3 months. And when they wanted poster number 4, I wanted money. Ghosted. Lesson learned. Hey, I think there's a lot of freelancing professionals out there that can relate to this. We were asleep one night with the window open. We wake up because there's a couple walking down the road arguing. The girl is closer than the guy. Next thing we know, the girl is banging on the door begging to come in. We call the police. They get there and the couple is gone. They tell us that's a common ruse being used in the area to get you to open your door so they can rob you. Huh, so it's just the home version of those highway stories of people that lay in the middle of the road. We have helped out my sister-in-law a few times with money bills. Never a lot. $50 here, $100 there. Usually for some bill to avoid services being cut off. I'm usually the more heartfelt one in my marriage, but I ended up being the one to put my foot down. Went over to her apartment once. She had 2 big flat-screen TVs, a new couch, new fridge, kids on a PlayStation or whatever console she got them. It was all rent-a-center stuff, but that was the end for me. I didn't have any of those things myself, not to mention the incredibly bad financial decision those things were, with the high interest rate. Part of me felt like I was taking food out of their kids' mouths, but realized that no, her poor decisions was doing that. Yeah, anytime I meet somebody that's like taking out payday loans or like buying fun stuff on credit, I'm just like, okay, I need to get away from you. You are going to destroy your life very quickly. One day I found a puppy, dirty, hungry, and just scared and lost. I gave him a good meal and some love and went to drop him off at the address on his collar. The dude thanked me, then proceeded to beat the crap out of the dog, telling me to mind my own business when I tried to get him to stop. Carried him by his collar to a 5-foot short chain in a muddy patch with a crappy broken 3-wall doghouse, where I'm guessing the dog spent 100% of its time. I called the cops, but they did nothing. The dog technically had shelter, which qualifies because 3 walls and a roof, even if it was filled with holes and it gets 20 degrees at night here. Well, hey, if they leave the dog outside all night, it shouldn't be too difficult to just go take it home. The day I realized that no one wanted to help me in return. Look, it's not about doing something for someone to get something back, and I will always help whoever I can that needs it. But when the same people consistently ask for help or money, or what have you, without actually wanting to help you when you need it, or just hang out or be friendly in general, it's a huge red flag. You know, I used to have a friend that I would go over and hang out at her place sometimes, and usually when I would go over, she's like, hey, bring me some candy or something, and I was like, alright, whatever, I'll just grab something on my way over. And then one day she was sick, and she told me, hey, bring me something specific, I don't remember. And so I was like, alright, sure, whatever, I'll come hang out. And then I show up and bring her something, and then another guy shows up bringing her something else, and that was the moment I realized, yeah, I'm not coming back. Me and my girlfriend were leaving a McDonald's and pulling up to the stoplight. There was this homeless man that we've seen around the area ever since we've moved here, and my girlfriend decides, since we've never given anything to this guy and he's always been there, we should give him one of our McDoubles. He comes up to the car, says thank you, and walks back to his corner as the light turns green and just tosses it on the road right in front of where we were driving. Yeah, I know this might sound harsh, but I refuse to ever give anything to panhandlers. It only just fuels the problem to keep on going. I was donating baby/toddler clothes to a mom in need through one of those Facebook donating pages. She didn't have a car. I did, so I drove 30 minutes away to deliver the stuff all for free. Got in a bad accident less than 5 blocks from her house. So I texted her to see if she could come get what she was able to because my car was totaled. She wouldn't walk the 4 blocks, then reported me to the group and got me kicked out for not following through. I ended up with a fractured sternum. Yeah, screw that. Never again. Oh, man. These people they deserve to be homeless. I'll just come out and say it. If you're this kind of person, you're really just on your own at this point. I worked in Baton Rouge for a decade, from 1999 to 2009, and would regularly give the homeless I saw around town, generously, if I can say that without being a douche. In 2008, I was on a run for work, and a guy caught me near the Target on Seguin Lane. He had nothing. He was homeless, and on top of it had been robbed an hour ago. No worries, empty my wallet for the man. We all need help. Coming out of the shopping complex, I see him hiding in the bushes, opening a pack of smokes on a laptop while on his iPhone. Then a month later, I saw a man I regularly donated to on Government Street. I would catch him on weekends, but this weekend my drop-off started early, so I saw him as he was arriving in downtown BR. I sat behind the TV station waiting for a pickup, and this guy gets out of a new car, changes into dirty clothes, and grabs his sign from the trunk and heads off to his corner. I've given food and connected people with charities, but I've never given a penny to a beggar since then. See, I feel like the whole concept of being a beggar really only exists in societies where people are just generally thriving. You know, where you're already doing really well for yourself and you just want to help somebody else out, and then so many people see that some of these homeless people are making hundreds of dollars a day just from gathering random cash, and so people say like, wow, that's more than I make in my job. I guess I'll just make this my job. I'll go stand on the corner. And I mean, it's one of the most easily corruptible industries, if you could call it that. I was 17 and still in school. The corridors were empty as my teacher sent me out to go do her a job. So I was just walking down the corridor when this girl carrying a bunch of books bumped into me and she dropped the books, like you see in a movie. So I apologized because I wasn't really paying attention, and I bend down and get the books for her and hand them to her, expecting at least a small thanks. But no. Instead, this chick had to say, I have a boyfriend, so never ever purposely bump into me just so I can talk to you. You should have walked away. As she begins to turn away, I grab her shoulder, which makes her turn around, and I knock the books out of her hand and say, now that was on purpose. And I walked away while she stood there speechless. Some of you may think that was messed up, but I don't really regret a single bit of it, as she got what she deserved. Man, this story's just like a big ball of mishmash cliches. It's actually kind of hilarious. I had a new manager come into my former place of employment. Immediately, this manager started firing people for stupid reasons and hiring people from her old job to replace them. The walls in that place talked, and few noticed the janitor, so when I heard rumors of the next heads on the chopping block, one of which was mine, I decided to be nice and help out the other two. I considered them good friends, and it was the least I could do, right? I warn one, and he takes it seriously and begins looking for another job. So when the pink slip arrived, he landed on his feet running. The other promptly goes squealing to the manager in question, who uses that as an excuse to fire me, and then fires the person that had squealed. All 3 jobs were quickly filled by her old friends from previous jobs. I've refused to lift a finger to help coworkers out since. I've had advanced warnings of firings and disciplinary hearings, and various other juicy gossip. People for some reason think I hear with my eyes, and assume that they can talk in front of me and I won't notice. I'm going blind, people, not deaf, but I've always kept it to myself. Screw 'em. Yeah, well, sometimes when you try to get involved in drama, you can end up just turning everything into chaos. The last 2 times I helped push someone out of the mud or the snow in the winter, they've slammed the gas pedal down, coated me in mud, and as soon as they were free of the mud, just kept driving without so much as a thank you. I've stopped helping people stuck in the mud and snow. Well, we are getting close to the snowy season, so look forward to more stuff like that. I met a guy who had hit a rough patch. We had great chemistry and he made me laugh. The bar was so low. He gave me a sob story of why he was getting kicked out of his communal house, and I offered to let him stay with me because I live alone and have my own place. Huge mistake. He hadn't hit a rough patch. He was the rough patch. Barely paid for anything and would get wasted while I was at work, and would be a total a-hole when I got home. Got fired from his job, ate all the food I'd buy, and make excuses as to why he couldn't find another job yet. The absolute kicker was when I went home from my nana's funeral. He treated it like a mini vacation in my place. Invited his friends over, played music so loud that the cops got called, and when he was supposed to pick me up from the airport, he was wasted at someone's house at 8 a.m. Never felt better than the day I kicked him out. No more financial and emotional abuse. Finally felt like my place was mine again. I've learned an expensive lesson. Don't help people that won't help themselves. When nothing is their fault, they're a serious issue. Run fast and far. Well, luckily you were able to make it out of that one. That's the kind of thing that makes you appreciate your home even more afterwards. You know, a lot of these stories kind of felt similar to the entitled people stories. Man, I just think it's crazy this is my 4th video in 4 days now. It's been a long time since I've been this active on this channel. It's a lot more work than I remember. But I'll see you guys next time.